welcome you to the April edition of the County Fair. I'm Jason Grisgorek, your host, and welcome to yet another fantastic episode where we're going to discuss something new here in Hamilton County. Maybe not necessarily new to the county, but new to you and especially to myself. I'm very fortunate to have with me tonight at the round table Mr. Michael Patton of the Fatherhood Collaborative of Hamilton County.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And of course, sitting next to him, Officer Lewis Arnold of the Cincinnati Police Department.
Thanks for having me.
Now, of course, I'm bringing us together early, but as we're talking about fathers and fatherhood, June is Father's Day is coming up in June. So it's a great way to bring in fatherhood, the Fatherhood Collaborative.
Yeah.
As I've been reading a little bit about your bios and what's going on with the collaborative, you kind of are both founding members, founding fathers, we could almost call you,
Absolutely.
of the collaborative. For those who are not necessarily in the know, the collaborative, let's explain a little bit about what it is and what drew both of you to the collaborative.
Sure. Okay, about a year and a half ago, maybe closer to 2 years ago, the Cincinnati Human Relations Commission applied for and received a grant from the Ohio Fatherhood Commission. And the Ohio Fatherhood Commission is in Columbus, and they fund a lot of local activities around fatherhood. The idea of the grant was to identify and recognize areas in the state of Ohio to stand up a fatherhood initiative. So a part of that was the application for the grant. The Cincinnati Human Relations Commission received $10,000 for that grant. And as a result of that, the collaborative was sort of born from that. So this is a collective of organizations who serve fathers in some capacity or another. I specifically work for Hamilton County Job and Family Services through child support. So my connection to the collaborative came as a result of my involvement in the child support program. And so we began meeting about 18 months ago. We meet monthly. And really our goal is to work with organizations who serve fathers to leverage the information and their contact with fathers so that we can do a better job of getting fathers in contact with the services that they need in order to become better parents and better fathers overall.
It sounds like something that Fatherhood Collaborative, you hear fathers being the forefront. Most of the time you hear the mother being the supportive one. What was that drive? I mean, it sounds like definitely the state of Ohio had a lot of push behind that to bring this to the forefront.
Well, I think that a lot of people may not realize that there are studies that have been done that show that the involvement of a father in the life of their child makes an positive impact on several outcomes, multiple outcomes. Long term, they do better in school. They're less likely to be involved with drugs and alcohol. They're less likely to be involved with the criminal justice system. They're more likely to be better parents themselves. So there are a myriad of measures that look at the quality of human life, and those signify that the role and the impact of a father is very positive in the lives of children. And so the collaborative sort of came about with the understanding that a lot of the social issues that we see in our community, in our country, can be addressed in some way by bringing the father back into the family in a very positive way.
Bringing the law aspect to it, I mean, was that your initiative to be a part of that, or was it as a father or someone of the community wanting to be a part of the collaborative?
Wanting to be a part. Policing is changing. We have finally discovered that we cannot arrest our way out of the problems we have in society. So we have to really become a part of the community, and we have to be a part of what's happening in the community. And with that being said, the police department decided to be a part of the Fatherhood Collaborative. Number one, to assist fathers who are returning home from prison. Number two, maybe getting fathers who are just struggling in society and might be tempted to break the law. Where if we can point them to organizations that can assist them, help them get on their feet. If they're struggling in certain areas, maybe they might be struggling with child support, we can send them to the Fatherhood Collaborative, and in turn send them to Jobs and Family Services that could assist them with child support. You'll find a lot of young men and women who pay child support. If they're behind in child support, they lose their driver's license. They lose their driving privileges. And in turn, they get caught up in a traffic stop. They're driving without a driver's license, and now they have a court case that they can't afford to pay if there are any fines that have to be paid. So what us being involved, it allows us to assist those fathers to jump some of those hurdles, jump through some of those hoops, go around some of those barriers that is making life difficult for them in order for them to really be able to provide for their children.
We're still in those groundwork areas. You said about 18 months now. Obviously, there's a lot of baby steps to make this grow and flourish. If we were to look from inception to today, how, in leaps and bounds, how far do you feel that you've gone, and how much further do you feel you need to go to make this a successful collaboration?
I think the initial for 18 months had to do with relationships, building relationships, bringing the right people to the table. I think we've done a good job of that. We have 22 organizations that are represented, and I think we're growing all the time. So in the first 18 months, I think we've done a good job of establishing what it is we want to try to get accomplished, which is to leverage the relationships and the organizations that already serve fathers in the community in a way that hasn't been done before, by bringing us together, talking about the issues of fatherhood and making sure we have that communication open. We have a lot further to go in terms of identifying specifically the kinds of activities and the kinds of things we want to be involved in as a collaborative. I think there are opportunities for us to look at specific measurable outcomes that we want to establish. So we're in the process of doing those kinds of things, looking at how we can measure the impact of fathers in a quantitative way, so that when people ask us in the future, we come to these kinds of venues or filmings in the future, we have an opportunity to say, this is the impact that we believe we made in the lives of our local community as it relates to father involvement.
Sure.
Can I say something?
Absolutely,
also?
go right ahead.
With that, for that 18-month period, I think one of the things that's happening with this collaborative is you have all these organizations that in some form, shape, or fashion deal with fathers. And so there's funding that's involved. And these organizations have to go after this funding in order to fund the programs that they have dealing with fathers.
Yeah.
Putting that aside, these organizations still go after the funding, but have decided to collaborate, to work as one to assist the fathers in Hamilton County. And I think that's an awesome achievement. I think it really is. It's always been a struggle. It's always been this competition to get as much funding as possible. And the competition is still there, but once you receive the funding, you're still going to be that conduit to assist fathers in Hamilton County. So I think it's awesome.
You bring up a good point that I was kind of going to start alluding towards, is that you spoke about, grant applications and getting things together. Grants are getting narrower and narrower,
Absolutely.
and they are so specific. And if you don't have one small speck, a great piece could be missed. You have 22 organizations that you've now collaborated with. Are you finding that it sounds like the funding solution is not necessarily coming over hand over fist, but at least it is coming in with something as new as this initiative?
Well, yeah, we have an opportunity with, for example, one of the areas that we focus on is the Ohio Fatherhood Commission. So they are the primary source of a lot of the funding that we can go after. They were responsible for the initial startup money, and they provide a small amount of funding every year for us to do things like our Fatherhood Summit that's coming up on June 19th on Friday. But there are other organizations, I want to make sure I'm really clear about this. There are other organizations in the county that already serve fathers in a very specific way. So you have the Community Action Agency. You might have the Talbert House, who deals with drug and alcohol abuse. Community Action Agency deals with fathers who have children in Head Start. You have the YWCA for domestic violence. So all of these organizations have a footprint in the lives of families, and may or may not directly be serving fathers. The idea of the collaborative is to bring those organizations together in a common space so that we can have a conversation about what the needs of a father looks like, how we might be able to serve those fathers, and how as a collaborative we can work together to leverage our experiences and our information, the information we have, to assist the fathers that we do serve, either independently or in an organized way as a collaborative. And those are the things that we're working on right now.
Are you finding it easier that you're building this common space, so to speak? I mean, again, you're dealing with 22 plus organizations to kind of funnel it into one, so that you're again be able to direct properly.
Right.
Because it sounds like it would be something that it is going on, and it is ongoing for a father to go to a YMCA or to any of the Talbot House, for example, like you were saying, but to be able to For those who do not know, where do I go? What do I do? Are you finding it is much easier that way?
Well, I think the benefit of a collaborative is that even within people who serve fathers within their own individual organizations, the opportunity for us to sit together and talk about our unique interaction with fathers has been very, very helpful. I didn't know Officer Arnold before we started this conversation, but we have an opportunity now because we have a relationship to work with fathers in our own space, and I can call Officer Arnold. I can email Officer Arnold and get an immediate answer. In my experience, fathers and men in general are not, they're sort of an atypical person who receives services. So when you interact with them, you have to be aware of what their needs are and how they interact with institutions and organizations, and they don't like to wait. I mean, if you don't know an answer and you're trying to assist someone who may not be comfortable in that space, who may not really even know where to start, and you're not able to give them really immediate, concrete, actionable feedback, then it's very difficult to keep them engaged and targeted to what it is you're trying to accomplish with them. And the collaborative, I think, allows us to do that.
So an example, a father may not have a driver's license, is behind in child support, needs some employment or even employment training. They can make a phone call to the collaborative, and then we make connections. So we're able to say, call this person at Jobs and Family Services, call this person at HELPS, which assists with getting driver's license, call this person at Hamilton County Office of Reentry. And in that, there's not a lot of red tape. And as Mike was saying, fathers don't become frustrated because they're not getting answers and they're not getting results. We're hoping that we can give them answers and results, remove that frustration, and assist them with moving forward in their lives.
In the way that things are changing, I think it is great that we do have a collaborative and organizations that are looking towards the father in a child's life. Do you find that if this were something that were even 10, 15 years ago, you would have the same success rate as you would now? And I'm only speaking, and I may be considered the devil's advocate quite often, but a lot of people would probably look at this and go, a lot of men and fathers either aren't searching for help or I can find the help myself. Absolutely. I'm speaking from my own father's respect from that. But are you seeing that people are actually, and fathers are more willing to make that extra step to say, yes, I want to be a father in my child's life?
Well, I think that's still yet to be seen. I think that remains to be seen. This is about awareness. I mean, the fact that we're sitting here talking about this issue at all, to me, is a huge step in the right direction. So for me, I think awareness is a part of that, and making sure that fathers understand that if they have these kinds of challenges in their life with systems or with organizations or relationships they might have, if they're not in the home with the mother, for example, they need to know that there is help available. They need to know that there are entities that are in the community that understand that and are willing to listen and help them navigate through the process. And not all of them may know that they need help, but I think our sort of mission and our interest is to make sure that they're aware that these organizations are paying attention to how they're being served, not necessarily or not specifically the mom and the child, but the unit is made up of the mother, the father, and the child. And so our goal is to try to make sure we're making folks aware of the fact that fathers matter and they have a positive role to play in the lives of their children, whether they're living with the family or not. And I think that's a huge part of what we talk about a lot as well, is that I think there's an assumption that kids benefit best if their fathers are in the home, which is true, but they also benefit if the father is positively engaged, whether the father lives there or not. And so we want to try to get that message out as well, is that we understand that, and we want to create space for fathers to make that happen.
Do you think that you're obviously coming to places like this, and I'm very thankful for joining us here. Do you find that is easy or difficult to get that message out? I mean, obviously we have a free space here that's able to do that, but obviously conveying information like this is not necessarily easy. Right. Are you finding that you're finding more handshakes than closed doors?
I think it's been helpful to have the collaborative. And I know I keep going back to this, but the more people you have pulling the rope in the same direction, the better off you're going to be. And so, I think we benefit from the fact that we have people that are interested in this cause and are willing to do whatever it takes to try to see it to be successful. So I think it's been a positive experience overall.
Jason, also just building trust in fathers. Oftentimes we found that fathers have been so discouraged with all the red tape that they lose trust in the system. So that trust has to be reestablished. So we put ourselves out in the community. We put ourselves at different events throughout the year in the community, handing out literature, information, letting fathers know we're here, letting fathers know that we're here and we're an organization that cares. And once they begin to see that and we can begin to build that trust, I think we'll have even a better track record with assisting fathers in Hamilton County.
You're kind of going in the direction I always do go to, but as we're gearing down towards the end of the hour here, you started to touch a little bit, and I made mention of it that obviously Father's Day is not too far away, and what a great way for the collaborative to actually do a great handshake with a national holiday to celebrate fathers, and that you're doing that, as you made mention, Friday the 19th, but you're also going to be going throughout that whole weekend, correct?
Correct. Our event for the collaborative is Friday, June 19th at the Community Action Agency. This is our second year, so a part of what we did with the initial seed money is to make sure people were aware of the fact that the collaborative existed, and we wanted to get that accomplished. The collaborative came with the idea to have a summit. So this is our second annual summit. We'll have a panel of professionals that deal with fatherhood, from law enforcement, the judicial system. Obviously, I work for child support. Child support will be involved. YWCA, other organizations who can answer questions that fathers have will be on hand at the event. It's from 5:30 to 9 on June 19th. Free of charge. Community Action Agency. Child care will be available. Food will be available.
Free.
Oh, see,
for free.
You've said the two biggest things that most people want. They want food,
Yes.
and they want to make sure that their children are going to be tended to.
Absolutely.
And hopefully they'll be fed too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes,
So we
they
try
will.
to make it easy. We try to make it easy for them to come and get really good information and create, like, again, I've said it again, I say it again, to create space for fathers to feel comfortable talking about things that they may not usually feel comfortable talking about. And so we want to offer them the opportunity to do that on that day. And the collaborative will sponsor the event on Friday. Juneteenth is Saturday, which is
Right.
an event that's been going on for several years.
Several years now.
Lydia Morgan runs that and does a beautiful job with
Yes.
Juneteenth Saturday. And then on Sunday, Talbot House has had a fatherhood event for several years as well, down on the Serpentine Wall, free and open to the public. And all of that is really to recognize and celebrate the importance of fathers in our community.
Yes.
So we thought that as a new fledgling organization, it would be smart to link ourselves with events that already address the issues of fathers over that weekend, because it'll be, I think, a wonderful opportunity for us to communicate and get information out that we want, and we think fathers would benefit from.
Can I say a little more about Saturday?
Please do.
Saturday will be an opportunity for folks, fathers, mothers who have sons that are fathers, to get information. We'll have a ton of information that we'll be handing out, hard copies, papers, trifold information from all the organizations that are involved. And also we're going to have a panel discussion on Saturday
And that's on
under
that
several
Saturday.
different topics, several different topics.
And we're calling the Fatherhood Summit on that Friday. Is that going to also be more of a talking, more of as a mixer, or more of a panel discussion?
Yes.
What are we looking at?
There will be a panel discussion. There will be a keynote speaker that evening, and there will also be breakout sessions that will cover specific topics that gentlemen will have the opportunity to attend as well, which will provide a more intimate setting for them to really get down in the weeds and try to answer some questions that they may have on their mind that day.
And with this being the second annual, what do you feel that you learned from last year that you want to better for this year, or maybe scrap one way and continuing in a different direction?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think last year we didn't have breakout sessions, so we had a panel discussion. One of the challenges I think we learned from last year is we have 22 organizations, So we wanted to try to make sure everybody had a voice, and so we're trying to maybe refine some of that this year so that things are run a little bit quicker and are more efficient. And then also, I think the attendance. We want to get more people involved. I think last year we had about 90 individuals attend overall, which I thought was great for our first event on a Friday night after work for fathers to attend. So that was a huge positive, but we want to grow that and expand that this year to make it even larger because we have a lot of good information for fathers to hear about.
And again, you're still in that fledgling state. You're looking for these things. This is a great start. I always like to take organizations like this and go to the next step and go, if I were to bring the crystal ball right here and we talk 18 months later, where would you like to see the organization? Obviously, probably more than 22 organizations, maybe double that if not more.
Possibly. I'd like to have a plan for potential funding, more funding to sustain the efforts that we have going forward. I'd like to have identify some very specific and measurable outcomes, which I mentioned earlier, that the collaborative will work on to be able to quantify the impact that we have. Fatherhood is a very broad, reaching topic, and so we want to look at ways that we can actually try to measure the impact that we're having as a collaborative on the involvement of fathers. So in another 18 months, I would say certainly a more secure funding stream going forward, measures in place, growing the number of people who are aware that we exist, growing the number of people who participate with us either monthly or in any way that they can would be a positive outcome.
And again, since you are just starting, do you feel you have made the strides that you need to be where you are today?
I think so. I would say that we've, given the fact that we came together as a loose-knit group of folks who cared, we put together a plan. We have a mission. We have a vision. We need, like I said earlier, we want to get to a point where we can measure those things. But I think we've been able to help several people who are involved with one or more of the organizations that are part of the collaborative in a meaningful and important way. And we hope to extend that and improve that even further in the future. So we have some room to grow. We have certainly an opportunity to get better, and that's what we intend to do.
Well, again, that's June 19th through the 21st is the Fatherhood Collaborative celebrating fathers. All the information is there. If you'd like to learn more or RSVP, the email is down there. That's fatherhoodcollab@gmail.com. You can get all that information there. And of course, all the information has been going on the screen behind us as well. So that information will be there. So I'm hoping that we will extend more fathers to your summit as well.
Thank you.
We have reached that bottom point. I know everyone's like, really, we're there? Michael, Officer Arnold, I'd like to thank both of you for joining us.
You, Jason.
I'd like to always extend that invitation to come back because it would be a great discussion point to come back within the 6 months to see where we are there.
That'd be great. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you for
Appreciate
joining
the
us.
time. Yeah.
And I want to thank you for joining us as well. Of course, this has been County Fair, your one-stop shop to get all the information that is important to you here in Hamilton County. I'm Jason Grisgork, Waycross Community Media's Government Access Coordinator, giving you the opportunity every month to discuss things that you need to know here on County Fair. Thank you and have a great evening. We'll see you soon. I told you it was easy.